Would you like to know what tools you can use to channel and to enter the higher realms? In this video I'm going to explain more about this. Hi, and welcome to another video of the series of the Six Clairs Journey, where I teach you all about how to tune in into the higher realms and how you can extract information for your cosmic galactic guidance. In the last video, we were talking about the sacred foundations and how you can also join with your higher guidance and the basics you need to have a safe space. Well, today we're going to dive deeper and we're going to actually practice to create a safe space because, in the end, it's all about doing it. And you can read as much as you like, you can think about going to take the steps, but it's just a matter of practice and just do the simple, well, assignments, I would always say. So let me take you through the video what we're about to learn today. We're going to talk about the sacred tools I find very helpful to use when I'm entering my higher space, and also an energetic hygiene protocol. What is that all about? And I will also talk about the four bodies we have. This not just our physical body, but also other bodies, energetic, emotional, and other body. Then I would like to talk about your intention and about self trust, also your sovereignty and your clean power. Well, it's a lot, and let's dive right in. First, let me say that you don't actually need a sacred tool because everything you have and you will need is basically within you. However, it's very helpful, I think, to use some tools because it brings you straight into the right energy. It's like when you hear music, you can suddenly feel an emotion, or you can get back through a memory you had, and it's just instant. You don't have to really make a lot of effort to do so. And I also find it helpful to use these tools. This is the mini version of a sounding bowl, a sound bowl, and every time I hear this sound, I'm almost instantly in my Akashic record space. This is the higher realm where I attract information from. So this sound is really helping you to instantly travel there through your heart. And also, I use the pendulum. And the pendulum is really a tool, and I will teach you how to use this pendulum. This is so amazing. And like I said, you don't really need it because it's all you. So the pendulum is basically an extended tool instrument of your body. And why are we using the pendulum? Because your body is really also high vibe. Your body is very wise and holds a lot of wisdom, and your body is able to instantly provide you with information before your mind can uh, can take over. So there are also other tools people use to extract information from their body. You can also like use it's almost like a stick. I never use it, so I forget the word. But also muscle testing is a way to gain information. But I prefer to use the pendulum because, yeah, this is the way I learn it, and I really resonate with it. So before we use this pendulum, I will also teach you how to really make a little initiation ritual, because it's not the pendulum. The pendulum, it does nothing. It's you. So if you are aligned, then you can use the pendulum. And if you are like doing a little initiation, then you know that your energy is in the pendulum, and then you can use it. And I'm gonna walk you through. So right before we use the tools and I create the sacred space, which we are going to do as well, I will then start with um, with this sound. And then the thing is with the pendulum, you can use it in different ways. You can ask an open question, and then it's very wise to train yourself to have an answer come up, and you can confirm it with the pendulum. So, for example, when I'm in the records of a person and I'm gonna ask about the most important life, or perhaps the first incarnation of the client, then I will ask within my records, there's a protocol for it, and then I ask within the records, show me the first realm of incarnation. And sometimes even before the question is asked by me, there's an answer popping up in my system. And it depends whether you're clairvoyant or claircognizant or clairsentient or clairaudience, perhaps, in what way the information is coming through. And then what I do, I just confirm it with the pendulum. In my case, and this is really personal, if I say yes, it goes to the right. We'll keep it a little bit higher. If I say no, it goes to the left. And maybe, or perhaps, or I don't know, is like straightforward. And this is the way I quote unquote programmed it. But if you like it the other way around, that's fine as well. So, what we do, um, if you have a pendulum, then it's wise to use it. If you don't have a pendulum, you can maybe create your own with a rock, or but I find these very helpful. These golden ones, these are a little bit heavier, and it makes it easier. And the thing is that you want to learn how to use it basically. So what you can do, you can have a piece of paper, and then you just draw a line, a vertical line. Yeah. And what you then will do, you just put it down, and you want to go over, and you just with your head imagine your pendulum going from the top to the bottom. And you can just basically hold your hand still and watch it with your eyes, just with your intention, because your intention is very important. You just have your intention that you are about to move the pendulum without moving your hand from the top to the bottom. This you will practice a few times. And then it's wise to decide for yourself which direction for you is yes, which direction is no. Like I said, I have programmed my pendulum for a yes to be clockwise and a no to be counterclockwise, and a maybe to go from the front to the back. If, for example, this is your wish as well, then you have decided, okay, which direction is yes or no. So in my case, in my case, you can see which one it is. So you just draw a circle and you will say, for example, yes. And then the pendulum goes a certain direction. And you just practice it a few times and then you say no. And after you had like, okay, I feel which one is a yes and which one is a no, then you can start practicing by asking questions. So then you say, for example, is my name, and then you have your name, and you have, and then you ask another name, which is not your name. So you can really distinguish the difference between yes and no. And this is the way. It's so simple. This is the way to train yourself how to use the pendulum. And like I say, for this, well, quote unquote quote course, it's important to really use the pendulum in accordance with your clairs, because your six clairs we're going to practice later on is all about how to tune in, how to receive messages. So by default, there are two clairs, like your strongest by nature. So you have clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, and clairgustance, and clairalience, tasting and smelling. So with these clairs and a combination of one or two or maybe more, you can receive information. And then with your pendulum, you can confirm it. So one way to do it with a pendulum is to ask an open question and confirm it, or you can simply ask yes or no questions. So the next thing you're going to do is ask, am I outside right now? And my pendulum says no because I'm inside. Is it sunny outside? And then sometimes you have to wait a little bit because it has to like find its balance again, right? Is it sunny outside? Well, it's very cloudy at the moment. So the pendulum says no. And the thing is, you really have to learn how to trust what you're getting. And another thing is, don't ask the same questions, because then you will basically say to spirit, I don't trust what I'm getting. I don't trust the answers. Let me ask again. And then you will be confused, because then they're like, well, you don't take the answer seriously, so we're going to give any answer. So for me, it's good to write down the questions that I ask, so I can always come back to my questions and see what questions I have asked already. And sometimes, if you want to be a little bit smart and you want to know if something is right for you, then you can maybe add some things like, is it right for me at this moment? Because if situations change, you can ask again, maybe a few months from now, and then it's not basically the same question because it's a different time. But you don't want to be manipulative, right? So, these are the tools that are very helpful to use when connecting to spirit. And it may sound a lot, or it may sound a little bit, whoo, I don't know, but maybe it sounds a lot, I don't know. But you just, the only thing you have to do is practice. Practice with the yes or no, with a line and with a circle, and then you can extend your questions, right, to your liking. You can do this with food. You can do this with, because your system knows what's best for you, right? Um, Disclaimer: I wouldn't do it with life-threatening diseases or like symptoms. You always have to go to a physician and to a doctor, right? Because this is not medical advice. And also, on a mental level, please go see your doctor. So, but it's really fun to do it with things that are not that harmless. And I mean, it doesn't really make a difference if you, yeah, just use it for things that really are not a matter of life-saving matters. Now let's talk about energetic hygiene, and that's basically making sure that you always like doing things in an ethical way, and you know what's right and what's wrong, and what's considered to be of an ethical question, perhaps. Well, maybe I should talk a little bit more about that, because um, energetic hygiene is also keeping boundaries for yourself, but also you don't want to ask questions about another person, right? If they are really none of your business. So, of course, when you have consent of a client, you can ask things, but the fine line between well, being ethical and being not so ethical is maybe not that clear all the time. So basically, you can ask anything about yourself. So that's, I think that goes without saying. But should you ask whether your neighbor has ever cheated, for example? I know most of us, we love gossip, we love juice, but being being spiritual and doing the energetic work um, is also a matter of being ethical and that you keep yourself clean, because we don't want to build up any more karma, right? Um, a lot of us, because as soon as we entered this realm, this earth plane, we were dealing with a lot of stuff from others, from ourselves, and all the decisions, all the choices we have made, it comes with responsibility. It's also a matter of every decision, every action, everything you say, um, you can be held accountable for. So it's not to scare you off, but that's the way things work in this universe. So you don't want to build up any more karma by making wrong choices. And I mean, the examples are like enormous, and there are certain energetic practitioners who, for example, can make sure that a person falls in love with you, something like that. And it really is against the free will of a person. That's one rule which is very ethical. Basically, it's the number one rule of the universe, that we are all sovereign beings and you can't do anything against someone else's will. So it's not a wise thing to try to do that, because maybe if you're very powerful and you know what to do, you can do that. So I don't recommend that at all. Should you never ask questions about another person? Not really, because you can ask questions if it's about persons you are. Um, they are. They let me say it in a different way. If persons are relying on you, if they are financially depending on you, like children or perhaps your husband, there the rules are less strict, because of course when you are worried as a mom, you can ask some questions if they are minor, and you take care of them, right? So that's a little bit a different thing. And just be mindful, just use your rational brain of what questions can be asked or not, because in the end it's a lot about asking questions, right? Because you want to dive deeper and deeper into a situation from a past life, or for yourself, or whatever. That's the way I do it. When I'm in the records, I ask a lot of questions, because it's also the thing, if you ask a question, then this void, this space is created, and when a question is asked, an answer is always coming. So that's good to know. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned quickly about something about the four bodies. Of course, we have our physical body, but we have other bodies as well. And even though there are more than four, I just focus on four because these are the most, um, yeah, the most prevalent, and I think the most important ones to deal with. So, besides your physical body, it's very good to realize that we also have an emotional body, a mental body, and a spiritual body. And the physical body is, of course, intertwined with the other bodies, because if you don't take care of yourself, you don't sleep enough, you over or under eat, and you don't exercise, then of course your body is going to go into protest. I mean, your body functions well by treating it well, right? A tip for people who are not too fond of meditating, just go and dance or jog or run beforehand, because what happens when you like physically pump up your body or do a few jumping jacks or push-ups, whatever, then your mind will slow down as well, and you don't have time to think, well, I'm bored, I can do this meditation, I can shut off, and I keep thinking about my monkey mind who is jumping all over the place. And it's really beneficial for people who are easily distracted and who can't sit still beforehand to do some body work. Actually, when I had my shamanistic trainings done, then we always did this. Right before we went into meditation, we were always dancing, and we were like on sometimes on war, in Native American war music, the war chants. It's very powerful, and you really feel your body pumping up. and then when you lay down, it's like, oh my goodness, the travels we made, the journeys we made, they are were much more powerful because our minds were at rest, right? So our physical body is very important to look after, to make sure it has enough rest and sleep. And yeah, we also, of course, be aware and mindful of what you put into your body. Drink a lot of water. We know all these things, right? But it's sometimes good to realize and to be mindful of what we are doing with our bodies and how we are treating the bodies. So, next to the physical body, your mental body is very important as well. So, these are our beliefs, basically. So, what do we say to ourselves? What do we think we are worth? Do we consider ourselves like a minor person who um, has no influence, or who is not capable of living their best lives, or and they are really rooted most of the times, I would almost say a lot of the times, all the times, in our childhood, right? The way our father treated our mother, the way our mother was nagging on us, or the way that we were taught about how to look at money, or these are really like, these are so powerful, the mental beliefs. And these are basically on the root of what we are saying to ourselves right now as an adult, right? And it's very hard to really untangle what we were brought up with. Is it still serving us, or is it like a blockage in our lives? And if we are convinced that we are not powerful, or that we are not able to connect to higher spirits, or if we are convinced that we are so not standing in our sovereign power that another energy or entity can really come to us and control us, these are very powerful thoughts, right? So I think it first starts with giving yourself grace if you notice that you are not at the place where you want to be mentally. It's okay to really take the time to unravel, to maybe look for a good therapist who can help you with untangling things, unwrapping what's happened in your life, and yeah, really create a space for you where you convince yourself that you are capable of living your best life. And not everything is spiritual, right? Sometimes it's just a matter of doing just taking practical steps and go see a doctor. And if you are always tired and you sleep not even 6 hours a day, then your spiritual cosmic connection doesn't do anything for you, right? Then you just have to make sure that you sleep 8 hours. I mean, maybe I'm too simple, but that's the way it is. So, and of course, it's with mental thoughts, it's a little bit different, because we first have to recognize and acknowledge that we have blockages in these sense, right? So that's why journaling and meditating is so good, because then you will actually take the time to sit down with your feelings and your thoughts and your emotions, and then you can do something about it. Just let me grab a sip of water. Mm. And I was just mentioning emotions as well. On an emotional level, we all are perhaps not always in the place that we wish to be. So emotions are really like little children. If they are ignored, they become even more, um, they nag more, and they will become louder and screamier. And so I think as a collective, we are taught to be um, not that emotional, especially men, right? Men shouldn't cry. That starts with little boys, of course. And the other thing is that women sometimes might get too emotional, and which is basically these two. If you don't show emotions, and if you're showing too much emotions, they are both not serving you, right? They are both indications that you can be more in your power. So I think it's very wise to handle your emotions wisely. So this means if you um, if you realize that the emotions are coming up, acknowledge them. That's the best thing you can do, and just sit with them for a little while, according to the situation, right? I mean, children are boundless when it comes down to answering their emotions. But as adults, of course, we learn that emotions can be brought up every time in all occasions. So we learn to manage them. But I think we overmanage them. We shut them off most of the time. So I think it's best way when you feel emotions, sit with them, write them down. Journaling is always a good way to go. Write them down and then at least acknowledge them. Then you will see that they are, well, less powerful. And if you ignore them, that's when they become a problem. And then if you are too emotional, it's very hard to receive information from higher realms, because one thing is that's very important when you are channeling is that you are neutral. If you expect a certain outcome, or it's almost like you wish a certain outcome, how can you be certain that the information was correct? So that's one thing I always do as well, to stay out of really emotional feelings before I channel. I'm claiming that I'm neutral. I'm stating I am neutral. I don't care what comes through, what the outcome is. I just want this divine wisdom coming through. So um, I think it's very important to realize how powerful words can be, because you can think something, you can speak something out, and you can do something. And words are very powerful, because when I was a little girl, it was always said, not specifically to me, but in general, yeah, words don't matter because they don't hurt you. Well, I beg to differ, because if you are spoken down to, you start believing that, right? And the opposite is true as well. If you are always um, encouraged and people in your family support you and believe in you, then you start feeling it yourself. And I also believe no matter what happened to you in your life, and no matter um how little love you got, well, while you deserve every adult in your life to love you as a child, we can't do anything about that situation anymore. The thing is, when we are adults, we have to take responsibility of our own situation. And it's very easy for a lot of people to blame others, because, of course, when you were abandoned as a child, or maybe worse things happened to you, then you really had a bad start. However, it's your responsibility now, and you are able to do that as an adult, to grab your life by the horns and to make something out of it. And then you have to work your way through all the things you didn't get, and all the emotions, and all the pain, and all the hurt, and live your life in the best way possible, right? So, dealing with your emotions is very important, I think. Then I will come to the fourth body, and that's your spiritual or energetic body. And of course, we need that as well. And you can also look at it at the pyramid of Maslow, I think it is. Yeah, Pavlov is with a little dog, right? The pyramid of Maslow, where the spiritual development is, of course, coming last, because your body needs shelter and food and drink and rest. That's the basics, right? And when all the other needs are met, there's also a longing for us humans to connect to a higher source outside of ourselves, which is basically, I think, where we come from, and we are a part of that higher source. But religion thinks otherwise. Most big religions. However, I think it's very good to understand that we are also divine beings, and that you uh, always develop yourself in a spiritual, galactic, cosmic manner, whatever you want to call it, because even within the huge religions here on earth, it's good to pray, it's good to be humble, it's good to say grace and be grateful and thankful for what's coming into your life. And whether you call it pray or mindfulness or meditate, it's good to really acknowledge that there's a higher power and that you are part of it. And when you walk through nature or that you see all the beautiful things or children or music, life is really wonderful, you know. And because we rush through lives most of our days in the West, it's sometimes really um, it's a struggle to acknowledge all the beautiful things in life. And if you develop yourself spiritually, no matter what direction you choose, if it works out for you and you are growing and you perceiving the divine, I think it's very helpful and beneficial for us humans. I perhaps mentioned it before a little bit. Intention is it's very important. So another thing before you go channeling and you are practicing, what's your intention? What is your outcome you desire before you start asking questions or before you go into meditation or to use the pendulum. And this, of course, can be all sorts of things. Is your intention to pray for people who are hurting, or is your wish that your child will return home safely from a trip or whatever? And then it's very specific because I think the more specific you are, the more clearer the message is you send out to the universe, right? Speaking of which, if you want to connect to the universe, I mean, I wouldn't do that if I were you, because the universe is very vast and there's all sorts of beings in the universe, right? Do you want to connect with just anything? I don't think so. So be very specific with your intention. What is it that you want to do? And also know that you are claiming your sovereignty, right? Because you want to make sure that only the highest vibrations of love and light are connecting to you. So it's a matter of, don't be afraid, but just state out that's what your intention is and who you want to connect with and what you want to connect with and what you're about to do. And it's also responsibility. So what do I mean with responsibility? Well, I think that if you're an intuitive person, if you perceive a lot, if you are aware of the energies around you with other people, and you can really sense that there's more, and you can also, for example, know what someone else is feeling, or you know what who is calling you when the phone is ringing, or it's all sorts of things, then it's almost, I think, a responsibility to grow in these sensations, because the psychic gifts that we are born with are not to keep for yourself. I think that's my opinion, because we were all gifted in a unique way, right? We are all able to do other things because we are so uniquely divined, and all these different histories we have, all the different paths we chose to incarnate in and to experience, they all give us a huge amount of very rich information about how to be creative, because the divine is very creative and there are so many ways to anchor love and light. And if you are intuitive, if you are a benevolent starseed and a light worker, then it's your job. Maybe I'm a little bit harsh. It's your job to find out who you are and what you are capable of. And in this way, we can all be working together and to anchor love and light on this beautiful planet. And then you don't know how powerful you are. Even one starseed, when they are in their highest potential, how many hearts they can touch and how many lights are ignited. We don't have any idea how it works if only one person is doing that, let alone if a whole starseed collective is stepping into their highest potential. Oh my goodness, this is what we need. We don't need, I think we're with 8 billion people on this planet right now, so they say, I don't know for sure. We don't need 8 billion people to short quote unquote wake up. We only need a pivotal amount of people. So it's the responsibility of each light worker to ignite the fire within them and to really take the steps and to create paradise on earth, really. So by knowing who you are, by knowing how to stand in your power, how to use your gifts, your six clairs, that's really an opening. Because in the end, I will show you some things and I will say this works for me and you can do that. You will find your own modality, right? That's the thing. It's best to really to learn something, and then you will find your own thing, what works for you, what works within your culture or within your being, your personality, and then you will do that, because we are all very creative, so you will find your own modality. We're coming to the end of this video, and it's all about um, basically all about yourself. And this sounds very selfish, and I mean it in the most positive sense, because it's about self trust, self knowing, self love, self care. And it's basically the airplane principle, right? You first put on your own oxygen mask before your children. And this is not selfish as well, it's the way to go. So if you take care of yourself, if you know who you are, if you love yourself, if your monologue to yourself is positively oriented and you are keep showing up for yourself, then you have so much love to give, right? If everyone is doing that, imagine what a beautiful world we have. But I think we're getting there. I think in this lifetime we will see some amazing changes, and it's going fast now because 2026 is the way to go. And I'm really hoping that it will come either sooner than later. And let me know what kind of effort you are making, what kind of um, intentions you have, or wishes for the future. And also, if you bump into some hurdles, let me know, right? I'm here, I'm there for you, and I want to help as much as possible. And if you want to dive into your personal soul history, into your path, what you've been through, what the obstacles were, how you can even step more into what you wish your life to be like, then you can book an Akashic Records reading with me, and we will dive deeply into your unique personal soul history and also your path for the future, what you can do to really, yeah, make the best out of it. So it's very exciting to do that. So, yeah, in this video, it was a long video. We were talking about how to use the tools, the pendulum, the sounding device, and also your four bodies and what have you. We were talking about a lot. So let it sink in. Just practice with the pendulum. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me, because if you are doing this kind of work for the first time or you're new into this, it's a lot, but it's okay. Just take your time, just practice every day, just for a few minutes, that's okay. And I hope to see you in the next video where we are going to, I think, make a start with the clairs. See you next time. Bye for now.